Hello, ladies. Welcome to the Dada's show. This show is your show. It's a show about real life experiences that happen to women and girls. We will go out of our way to bring you any and every topic as long as it's about women and answer frequently asked questions. Today we want to talk about a very delicate topic, rape. Rape is when somebody sexually violates another person, and it's a very difficult topic, especially for women. Celine is an amazing lady. She has survived 4 rapes. And actually, not just 4, you are thriving after 4 rapes. Celine, tell us a bit about yourself, just, so that we know you a bit. Who is Celine?
Well, my name is Celine. I'm 33. I'm mother of 3 amazing children. And that's basically me.
Okay. And they are all boys, if I remember. Okay.
I've 2 boys.
Yes.
My first is in Form 4. My second is in Form 1. My third is in Class 3. Yes. A girl.
A girl, yes.
Yes.
Celine, we're here to talk about rape.
Yes.
A subject that you know quite a bit about. I wanted to go straight to, when was the first time rape happened to you?
The first time I was molested, I was about 7 years to 8 years. And at that time I was living with my relatives. And my dad had just passed on. And my mom had left us with Dad when I was 4 years. And she left and she never came back. Then Dad had an accident when I was 7 years. And he passed on. So I was left with the relatives, basically his brothers and sisters. They were in universities and they were living with us. Mm-hmm. And they started molesting me as young as 8 years. And I had no one to tell because there was no that platform of someone I can talk to. Yeah. Yeah,
because when you live with people,
yes,
and they are hosting you, it's very difficult to come up and start saying they've raped you.
And then I'm a baby.
Yes.
My dad had just passed on. I'm still trying to figure what's happening, and I've no one to talk to. Yes.
And you were an orphan?
I was an orphan.
Okay. So the second time it happened, you lived on the streets.
Yes.
I don't know if you can tell us a bit about what happened to get you to be on the streets, because you told me the second time it was a coincidence. It was circumstantial because you were there.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about that.
I had my children when I was basically young, at 16, 18, and my last born I held her when I was 24 years. So, and I had at that time I was living with their father.
So you were married?
Yes.
Okay.
And it was an on and off relationship.
Okay.
And it came a time and he left for the US. And when he came back, we decided to have our baby, our last baby. And I got pregnant. And as soon as I got pregnant, he changed. He would leave us without food in the morning. And he started bringing women into the house in my presence. And he would throw me out of the bed and sleep with another woman. And I was pregnant. So one day he came home in the wee hours of the morning, and he brought 2 women with him. And they were making love and moaning in the bedroom. And the kids were around. So I knocked on the door to quiet them down. And he came out, slapped me and rolled me down the stairs. I was pregnant. I was 5 months pregnant. And that's the day I left. And I, with the little money I had, the money he had thrown at me, 20K, I started a business. And the business did well. I would get charcoal from Narok and sell until I gave birth to my daughter. And I put my children to school. I didn't talk to him.
So things were looking up for you?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I gave birth to my daughter, after 3 months, I decided to start another business of taking clothes to Southern Sudan. And I left my daughter with another woman, friend of mine. And I did that business, and it was looking up. It paid my bills. It was a thriving business. Until one day, I bought a second-hand phone. And unfortunately, it was a stolen phone. So I was tracked down, taken to court, and slapped with a cash bill of 150. And I was not worried. I had that money with me. So what I did is I called my best friend and I told her, take my ATM and go pay bail for me. And I never saw her again.
She went with your ATM and to today you've never seen her?
Yes. I had to be in Langata for 1 year, 8 months without knowing where my children are or where she was. She took about 480,000.
So you were doing well?
Yes.
Life was looking up for you?
Yes.
Okay.
And when I came out of prison, I was in remand and my case was withdrawn for lack of evidence. And when I came out of prison, I had nowhere to go. My children were hopping from friend to friend, and I found them with a friend. And when she saw me, she said, now that you're here, you can take your children
and go away.
And I asked her, please let us stay for the night because it's late and I've got nowhere to go. And she said, no, just leave. Now stigma had started. You've been in prison, you're a bad person, you need to
get lost.
Yeah. So I went to the next place I knew, and that is church. And I talked to the pastor and I told him my situation. And he gave me 100 shillings and told me, I cannot help you.
Truly the story of the Good Samaritan.
Yes, go and find
somewhere else to go.
To go. So that's how we started sleeping on the streets. Sometimes when I got casual jobs, we would sleep in lodgings, and sometimes we would sleep in the streets. Yes, and one day while we were sleeping in the streets, some men chanced on us. I usually say that that one is an accident because maybe they had come from some place to steal and they chanced on us and they gang raped me, and 15 of them, and they left me for the dead. And that was the first time I was gang raped. And I was treated at Kenyatta, operations after operations. But I healed, or I thought I was healing.
Okay.
Yes.
How long did you stay in hospital?
About a month.
Okay.
Yes.
How did that affect you more than physically? I think sometimes rape is, people take away something from you.
Yes.
That is not physical. So
yes.
Besides being sick, of course, and besides, of course, taking a lot of tablets for HIV and a lot of other things, I think the trauma is more inside. What happened to you the first time it happened, the gang rape?
Let's say I was used to pain, and pain had numbed me. I was this very beautiful, smiling young woman, but inside I was in pain, and I was crying out, but nobody understood. And actually, I'm this type of person. When I go for counseling, I'll start talking to the counselor, and the counselor thinks this one is healed, and everyone thought that I was a very strong woman.
Yeah, that's what they always say.
Yes.
How strong you are.
How strong.
And then they send you off to go and live your life.
Yes.
Okay.
But I was inside. I was dying. I wanted someone who could reach out to that part of me that was bleeding.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, sadly, it happened again.
Yes.
You got another job, you got on your feet, you were moving again.
Yes.
You are this kind of person, you like to bounce back after trauma. Yes. So now you're back again. What happened? How did you again get gang raped again?
After attending all those counseling sessions and healing, on 2017, there's this lady that I had come out of prison with. She's called Teresa, and she had started an NGO called Clean Start. And she told me, now you can come and work with us. And I said, yes, why not? And I started working with them. And on 2017 December, I had spent my day sending clothes to children in prisons all over the country. And I was tired, and I decided now I'll go home and do the rest of the job tomorrow. And at around 9:20, I was walking home. Just a few meters from my gate, I met some 6 guys, and they were sitting outside, and they thought these are people who normally sit idling around. And they said hi, and I said hi. And they said, Madam's mama. I asked them, mbona mnaniambia nisimame? They said, ukipita hapo, we will kill you. And one of them showed me a gun. He had a gun slung on one side of his coat, and I just froze. And my instinct told me they want my handbag. And I took my handbag off, and they asked, and I gave it to them, and they asked me, nani amesema tunataka handbag yako? So I just held on to my handbag. One came on one side, on my right side, and the other one on my left side. And they told me twende hivi. The place they took me is a place where there is a river, but at that time, the river was dry. It was not rain. It had not rained for a long time. And it was a bushy place, and they stole my clothes, and they gang raped me, and they put sticks in me. Actually, I became, I blacked out. They put sticks in me, and they would put the gun in my mouth, and they did all those things, and then they left. I think they left after 2 hours, and when I woke up, it was dark, and I tried to recorrect where I was. And
do you think they thought you were dead?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I have no idea. But then I knew that my handbag, I felt for my handbag. They put my head on your handbag. So I pulled my handbag, and I called my sister-in-law, and I told her, this has happened, and I know where I am. If I manage to pull out the sticks, I will crawl. If I don't manage to pull out the sticks, you guys come and get me. And I managed to pull out the sticks, and I started crawling, but I couldn't go far. When my sister-in-law came, and they took me, we first had to report at the police station.
Oh dear.
And then I was taken to Nairobi Women on December 22nd, 2017. Yes.
That is awful.
Yeah.
So they took you, I remember you told me they took you to Nairobi Women's.
Yeah.
And again, you had a series of operations, and you stayed, I think, for how long?
This time they took me to Nairobi Women. The first thing they do is give you PEPs to prevent you from HIV.
Yes.
And hepatitis and all that. And my rectum was badly damaged, and I had an operation and another one. And I came out of hospital on around January 7.
So you were in for almost a month?
Yes.
Again? Okay.
Yeah.
So now you come back?
Yes.
And do you pick up your pieces again? What's going on in your mind now?
I'm always that person who will always pick up the pieces.
So you pick up the pieces?
Yes.
So you go for counseling, and you come out and you say, okay, that was another bad incident. Let me go on with life.
Yes. And this time I was coaching women at Langata Women Prison.
So now you went back to Langata Women, and you were...
Now I went back to work, and my job at that time was coaching in prisons. And I went back to, at this time I was in Langata on April, the whole of April. And I did the coaching, and the inmates graduated on April 22nd. But I was still on drugs. And actually when the coaching began, I had come out of prison I've come out of hospital 2 days before. I had another operation, and I still wanted to work, and I started coaching, and they graduated on 22nd of April.
What keeps you going? Because any woman by this time would have given up on life. How come you keep getting up and going? Is it because of your children? What makes you keep going?
My children.
Your children.
I wouldn't
know.
want them to have the kind of life I had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what keeps
The
me
idea
going.
that your children are somewhere being taken care of by someone.
Yes.
Is what makes you, even after being raped 2 times, you wake up and you're like, I have to keep going.
Yeah.
But then it happened again.
Yes. And this time, after the graduation, on that week I was at home preparing now for another session. And I remember that day, there's a friend who had come from Greece, and I had not seen her, and she was going back that same night, and she told me, come and say hi before I leave. I said, why not? So during the day, we were there with my children and their family friends. So my aunt was there too. And in the evening, my children saying they're not going with me, they're going with my aunt. And I said, it's okay. So I went back home. I took a shower and hopped into bed. And in the middle of the night, I had people, I don't know how they got into my house, but I had people and torches, and they were pulling me out of my bed. And my first thought was, these people will take me to that same place that, and it's raining now because it was raining so hard. That was last year. And they'll kill me. This time they'll kill me because they were saying, we will kill you. So they dragged me to my sitting room and they tore at my night dress. And this time they broke my glass and they cut me. I have scars. They cut me up. They strangled me. And they gang raped me for almost 3 hours. And they put a rolling pin in me. And then they left. And I remember when they left, I sat on the floor, numb. I was not feeling any pain, yet I was bleeding so much. And I asked God, really?
I know. Really?
Really?
Yeah.
And I said I would not call anyone, but then the pain was too much, and I had to call someone. And I called someone who came and again to the police station.
Back again to the same story.
Back again to the
women's
same
hospital.
Yeah. And this time I stayed in the hospital for the longest time, about a month and a half. Yes.
When these incidences are happening, I need to understand what goes on through your mind. What are you thinking as a woman? What goes on through your mind? Or do you just switch off?
I'm very good at switching off. I switch off. I think that's a defense mechanism for me.
Okay.
Something that I don't know, it's just in me. I switch off from pain. Yeah, and I move on.
Okay.
Like nothing happened.
How are you doing now?
It has been a journey, but let's say that I am making strides, and good strides, because I lost friends. I lost people who are supposed to be there for me. But in all this, I've realized there's a friend who will never leave, and that is God. So many times I have thought of suicide. So many times I have bought poison. And there's a time I even wanted to put on the gas and just burn us. But then there's always that voice that tells me, one day it will all make sense.
This is, I think for me, what about your children? Do they know, especially your boys, because now they are much older, do they know what you've been through? What do you tell them?
When I had to tell them the truth, but I told them it was just an accident like any other accident. Yeah, and they even had to go for counseling. Yeah.
And your family? You said your family are not...
We are not so close.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how do they take, for example, you
I
being able
don't
to
know
come out and tell this story to people? How do they take that?
Actually, I know they don't like it. When I talk these things are stigmatized.
Yes.
You're supposed to keep quiet and not tell anyone that you are raped. And I don't know, because they never came to see me in hospital, so I don't know what they think. Yeah.
In all the time in Kenyatta, at Nairobi Women's, 2 times, they've never come.
Yeah, they've never come.
Have there been some, what about your work? When you tell people about this story, how do they react? If they are colleagues, if you are working with them, friends, how do they react?
Surprised, maybe.
Yeah.
And some of them think it's not true. But I've learned to just keep my eyes closed and my ears closed to gossip and rumors. Just do me.
Okay.
Yes.
What kind of rumors have you had people making
I'm
or
cursed,
coming up with?
Cursed, I'm bewitched, such things. Maybe I took someone's husband and they're doing this to me, such things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think my other question to you would be, what do you feel was taken away from you, really taken away from you? Of course, besides time in hospital, the pain you've been through, what is it that has been really taken away from you?
When you're sexually violated, there's always something that is taken away from you. And it is for you to either change, to make that thing change you and define you. But I choose not to let it define me. I choose not to be bitter, not to be angry, not to let those things make me a murderer or something close to that. And I choose to heal. I choose to talk, to tell my story, so that another woman who is out there and has gone through the same thing can see that I can come out of this, and this cannot be me. Yeah.
Thank you, Celine. That's a really powerful story. Dada's, that was Celine's story. 4 rapes, but she still looks amazing, still going strong. We are going for a break. We'll be right back. Go grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee. We'll invite Perpetua, a counselor, to come in and talk to us about rape, about what really happens to women, and about what you can do. If you have been through rape, how do you help yourself? So we'll be right back. Welcome back, Dadas. Today we've been talking about rape. It's a rather touchy subject, and we had Celine, who shared very openly about her experiences with rape. We are joined by Perpetua. Perpetua is a psychologist.
Yes.
Karibu sana, Perpetua.
Thank you.
And you're actually right now working with Celine.
Oh, yeah.
So you are the perfect person to come and tell us what makes men rape. What drives a man to rape a woman?
Many reasons.
Yeah.
First of all, people rape for fun, because they're just psychotic in how they think, and especially when someone has a warped and a downward mentality about women, that women are just objects to use. And sometimes, especially when you see it happening in the slums, the people just go on a raping spree. You know, let's come together and let's go do it. It's fun, like a boys' game. And then people also rape because of drug and substance abuse.
Yes.
Yeah, because they are high on weed, they are high on alcohol, in a way that they'll actually be remorseful. They actually ever did it. And you'll be like, am I the one who really did it? I'm very sorry. I didn't mean to. People also rape because they have battles, mental battles that they are battling with, and they don't know who to take it out on. Like most of the people who are raping are actually in pain themselves, and instead of resolving their pain, they project it on other people. And then they hurt people who are innocent, and it doesn't mean their pain goes away. So I don't know how many people will be raped by the end of the day before they actually figure it out.
Also, I think, what would you say about, because her first incident was because some people she lived with.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Some people
yeah.
you are living with,
Yeah.
and because you are there, you seem to be available, and you're vulnerable. Could it be also because women present themselves as vulnerable, or at some point in your life as a woman, you're vulnerable, and therefore men take advantage of you?
I would actually say yes and no. First of all, because I mean, for you to judge me vulnerable, there is the lenses you're looking at me with me at. Why? Because if you think I'm vulnerable, you should protect me. You know, you should take care of me. You should reassure me. You should make me feel secure in that incident. And of course, the other party is now taking advantage of my vulnerability, of my naivety, like girls who go and they get on a date rape. It's because you are naive. You know, probably they laced you a drink, something happened, and now they were like, by the way, you, Hashikanishi will just do it.
Okay. So principally, a man must objectify a woman to be able to rape her. Principally.
Oh yeah, that is
it must
true.
be, because by the time you're raping a woman, you don't think of her as a sister.
No.
As a, you know, as your sister.
And you even don't think the effects of your actions on her.
Yeah.
You know, you don't realize that next year, 10 years to come, probably for the rest of their lives, you have actually snapped something, you've killed something in them.
What happens to women when they're raped? I don't even want to talk about gang rape. I just want to talk about, for example, because I think for me gang rape is the ultimate.
Yes.
But what happens to a woman when she's just raped even by her, by an uncle?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we are raped by people we know.
Yes.
What happens to her?
I would actually say number one is the physical effect. First of all, because sex is violation of your sexual space. You know, it has been taken from you forcefully. And number one is just the physical effect.
Because
there's pain
then your
involved.
body is not prepared.
Yeah, your body is not prepared. There was no foreplay. You know, even in terms of even marital rape. Because marital rape still counts for rape. And when people are married, we are like, why are you complaining? He's your husband. No, I was not ready. And so it was still painful. It was hurtful. Probably he was abusive in terms of what he was telling me when he was having sex with me, and also what had preceded the act. You know, and so when it happens, first of all, is the physical effects. There is pain, there is the shock, you know, there is the trauma that comes on it, the fact that your body is not prepared, there can be injury, all that plays out in that. And of course, there is also the emotional effects.
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of guilt, in terms of shame, in terms I'm so angry that you violated my space, in terms of I'm so sad and depressed, you know, when I think about it and replay it. And of course, there is also the psychological effects. You know, there are some people who even just get shutdowns.
Yes.
And just you get into this mental space. Sometimes you think you are crazy. Sometimes you actually come to a place where you become paranoid. There are people who will even get now the physical effect because of the psychological effect. There is actually a spray that can trigger, you know, a smell, even a place you can go to and it reminds you of someone, or you can even meet someone who looks like you are assaulter, and then you start feeling the effects all over again. And now that one destabilizes you mentally. So those are some of the long-term effects of rape.
Celine,
Yes.
do any of these things that she's talking about remind you of something? Or do you ever go to a place like where you lived at the time when the 2 rapes happened? How do you feel when you walk into that area even?
So many times things have triggered, and sometimes I just I've frozen so many times in the middle of the road, or sometimes I get panic attacks when maybe I see a man who looks like one of the men who raped me, and I just freeze and I stand there numb, not knowing where to go or what to do. And sometimes it's dangerous because when you freeze in the middle of the road, people wonder what's wrong with you, and you can't keep explaining to everyone like what's happening. Yeah.
When you've been raped, like Celine, so many times, abused so many times, physically assaulted so many times, what happens to you when you think about men in the sense of, do they represent an oppressor, you know, a person who brings trauma? What happens to you?
First of all, there is the circumstance. I would actually think about a girl who was raped when they were younger. Actually, Celine has had both situations in her life. Someone who was raped when they were a child. First of all, you can even come to a place of learned helplessness, where now you can become assaulted so many other times in life because you feel like there's nothing I can do about it, especially now when it happened when you were a child, in a way that you are now in this space where you have learned to be helpless. And that can actually be very, very dangerous and devastating for that person. Because in every space, sometimes they'll even get into just casual relationships, they get raped, and especially if they did not confess it back then even now they may still feel like, I've been raped because I'm responsible. It was my fault. and especially when you didn't get the reassurance, and especially if you also reported and you are blamed. And most of us have actually African mothers, from many incidences that I've had, where you went and told your mother and she was like, this is so shameful, don't even tell anyone. Don't discuss this in public. Or
you're blamed.
Yeah.
The African mothers tend to ask, ulikuwa umevaa nini?
Ulikuwa umeenda usiku kufanya nini?
Uliingia kwa hiyo room kufanya nini? So imagine you are the one who is reporting the rape and it turns against you.
Yes.
So you learn never to say anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, it can also lead to mistrust. I've also seen girls who go through rape incidences, and then from that time, they're like, I am in charge of power in my life. And so I will use men and not allow them to use me.
Yeah. And
so you can see that person having serial relationships with married men, with whoever they want. When they see a man, they target him and they go after him because they're on a revenge mission. But they don't realize that I'm actually acting up out of my own pain. Okay. And so they go revenging, they go destroying other people because they actually want to get back at. But of course they rationalize, because rationalizing is also an defense mechanism. And so you'll actually target this person and sleep with them. Actually, I watched that also in a movie, and you can actually see it is true. And so you make sure you start even revenging. Maybe you even make sure I will sleep with his children, with his son. I will have lesbian relationships with his daughters.
That's why women do those kind of things.
Yeah, sometimes they just,
like, what happened?
And it's a target. So they will sleep with this guy and this guy and this guy to make sure they get up to this guy. Because I know that as I go into your networks, I'll approach you slowly. And so they are on a revenge mission. That can actually be an act up out of a rape incident. And of course, the other thing that can also happen is a repellence towards men, in a way that I'm not interested in men. Some girls will actually go into lesbianism, and they will be the superior partner in this relationship. So I'm the one who calls shots in this relationship because I have to be in control. I was controlled in the past, and so they will still join the LGBT and be on the front line in terms of the campaign and the awareness, but it's actually a pain that they have not resolved in their lives. And some people, of course, God will also help them to get healed. And especially when they find their faith and strength in God and they're able to recover and they still live normal lives. And sometimes that pain, especially the fact that the psychological pain of rape is so intense. If they are able to resolve it positively, they will heal so many people. Yeah. They actually become wounded healers. In a way that through my pain, I'm able to heal so many other people.
Which is what Celine is doing.
Yeah, which is also the path that Celine has taken, and it's amazing.
Okay. I wanted to ask, what do you do when you're raped? Because I think we just need to know, if I'm raped, what are the first steps? What do I do?
Number one, acceptance.
Accept.
I think that is the hardest thing to do, but it is the healthiest place to start. Okay. Because as long as you are in denial, and there are people who even reject their bodies. You even get out of your body and you see my body and me as two different things. Depersonalization. And so you don't accept that actually this situation has happened to me, which is very, very dangerous and a very negative way of coping. So number one, come to that place to say, yeah, this thing has happened to me. So where do I start? Number one, there is the police. Number two, there is the medical center, and especially the medical center can be nearer. Just start there. Because first of all, you need to even get well, and they also need to confirm the incidents has happened, which is the evidence. You need to go to the police as well. Because sometimes also the fact that there is the masculinity thing and the blame thing, there are people who have even gone to the police station after rape and they were blamed. Ulikuwa umeenda kwa kufanya nini? Msichana, when ulitafuta huyo kichana? And that story ends there. In a way that you even leave the police station feeling like, by the way, I am to blame. I don't even need to go to the hospital. Go to the hospital. Just go there. And one of the things, the places I appreciate, which Celine has also mentioned, is the Nairobi Women's. That is the GBV center that is all equipped and all round. And there's an intense support system for people who have gone through rape, including support groups. Because sometimes you need to know I am not alone. There are people who have gone through this, and we can actually encourage and give each other hope and also reach out together so that we are actually a team. The other thing you also need to do is to, with time, to be able to get back to life. Because sometimes rape, the rape situation usually numbs you. There are even people who will sleep for days on end. They don't even have the energy to get out of bed. And one of the things to be aware that you are grieving, you have lost something that you'll never get back.
It's true.
Yeah. You've lost something. You've lost a part of yourself. You have lost the innocence. You've lost even the sexual purity and the sexual willfulness that you had in terms of someone has stolen it from you and taken it from you in a violent way. And so, of course, it's also coming to a place of even forgiving yourself. First of all, forgive yourself and just realize that I'll be patient with you for the rest of my life, because you will not be easy to live with.
Okay.
You know, even in terms of your other relationships, and to just learn to forgive yourself and to love yourself and to accept yourself. That is also a powerful place to head to. And of course, the third place is now to reach out. Once I have healed, and once I've been able to go back to my twins, I'm able to report back to work, probably if you're working, or I'm going back to my business, because there are also people who life change drastically and permanently going forward, in terms of they give up everything. You know, because you are also in this state of, I am helpless and I am hopeless, so I can't go back to where I was. You know, I'm not the same person again. But after you have healed and you're on the path of recovery, with time it becomes easier, you know, just day by day. And of course, to realize you need to be patient with yourself. For some people, they snap out next week. There's someone who will snap out after 5 years. No, snap back. They will come back after many years, because it will be a journey, especially depending on the trauma that they went through the rape incidents. Someone who went on a date rape, and probably it's someone they liked, will probably recover a bit faster, especially, let's say, if that person even apologized. But someone who was raped violently, like the situation Celine went through, they even stuffed some sticks in there. That is very traumatic, in a way that sometimes you even feel as if those sticks are playing out in you, and you're like, hey, let me go back to the house. I can't go anywhere, I'm bleeding. And sometimes it's actually mental. And so it's about how much has it affected you. And the fact that there are people who also get support immediately, there are people who will get support many years to come, there are people who will never get support because they just feel, I can never disclose this part of me. I am still whole, I'm okay, I can handle this, which is not the case always.
Celine, when you tell your story, do you get feedback from people who come and tell you, it's happened to me, I've never told anyone, but because you said you spoke, I felt confident, it's happened to me. Do you ever get, what kind of feedback do you get? Because I know you speak about this a lot.
Actually, I have so many unreplied messages in my inbox, because there are so many. Sometimes I am overwhelmed. But I try my best to reply to messages, and just to hold those I can, and talk to them about my journey, and to ask them to help to get support, because if it wasn't for support, I could have crumbled. I've been supported by my pastor, and basically Nairobi Women, we have a support group, and my best friend, who happens to be a man. Yeah, he has been there all along, and someone I can talk to even in the middle of the night. So I try to tell them to at least get a support system, so that they don't crumble. And so many people are hurting out there. Things have happened to so many people, and sometimes you see a person walking, and that person, you think that person is have it all, but they're crumbling inside. Yes.
Perhaps. How prevalent is rape in Kenya? How bad is the situation?
There's a research that was done by CSI, the Crime Scenes Investigation, that was from December 2017 to June 2018. And actually they say that within that period of time, which is about 7 months, there were 40,500 rapes that happened in Kenya.
40,500.
And their statistics is from 9 months, a 9-month-old baby, to a 105-year-old woman.
Oh dear.
Yeah, all these are women in between. And you realize right now we are in a situation in our country where there's been so many femicide situations happening, and 80% of them are actually love triangles, love relationships, and actually there's a percentage of them which they were raped before they were murdered.
What is femicide?
Femicide
is a very nice word. What is that?
Femicide is killing of women, and you're actually killing them because they are women, or because their issue is related to womanhood. Probably even infidelity, you're in a relationship with someone, or a friendship like the one who was, you remember the shocker, and they even had the audacity to compose songs. People can be very interesting, and of course now when you look at those situations, you realize that, the rape is sexual abuse, but there are so many other forms of abuse. And sometimes it's actually this array that can even lead to sexual abuse, because there was financial abuse, there's emotional abuse that you put up with, there was mental abuse that you put up with, there was physical abuse before now it got too intense to escalate to the rape part. And so just being aware of this, and to be aware that this is actually a situation that we are living with. And also to realize that by the end of the day, it is also about the support system and the environment around us. Even when this happens to someone, how do you respond? Do you trivialize it? Like Celine was saying, she shares a situation, some people are like, you are lying. You know, when someone says that, it's because it's not a big deal. Probably they've not gone through it. And I think something we need as a country is actually empathy. We need a lot of empathy to be able to empathize with femicide, to empathize with the rape situation you're discussing today, to be able to realize that I actually need to support. And one of the things I usually say when you're supporting even rape victims is the gift of presence. Be there, don't judge. Be there, just help Celine take her kids to school. Because like I said, when you're in that initial stage and you don't know what to do with your life and with yourself, you need someone to just be there for you. To be there for you, like the way she says, this is someone I can call at midnight. Can you imagine having the reassurance that there is one person out there who means the whole world to me? It's actually a very powerful place. And the other thing we can also do to support is even to lead them now to the places they can get help. You know, take them to Nairobi Women's Hospital or recommend it to them, you know, help them join a support group. You know, Celine has a pastor probably who nourishes her spiritually, despite it's not impacting the rape situation directly. You are also feeding her hope part, which is actually what she needs to keep on moving on and moving forward. And so everyone should realize there's something I can do to participate in this conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
My other question would be, can you identify, I mean, can you see a rape situation coming? I know for Celine, the way I've listened to her, I think she said clearly that two of the incidences, she didn't see them coming.
Oh, yeah.
One, she woke up, there were men in her house.
Yeah.
The other one, she was walking home.
Yes.
The other one, she says, was coincidental. She was at the wrong place at the wrong time due to a situation that had happened to her. And the other one, she was at home.
Yes.
But what would you advise women? How can you guard against it? I know we think we can. Are there things we shouldn't do? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm asking a question that makes sense.
Yes. One of the things is to make sure to also assess. One of the things is that you can see red flags, even in dysfunctional relationships and friendships. I can actually see that this person, there's something that is not adding up about them. You know, even when you show up for a date, you can actually be able to see even where are we meeting. You want us to meet only the two of us in a house, and I don't know you. You know, there are some red flags, and that is why we usually encourage even for the blind dates, meet in a public place. You know, go to Java where everybody is and just tell him, this is our first meeting, I don't think I want to meet in seclusion. You know, and also the timings. You know, you want us to meet at 9 p.m. Why can't we meet at 9 a.m.? Why can't we wait for weekend? Why can't we meet earlier? And also, why can't we meet in a public place? Why do we have to drive out of town? You know, because all these things can actually be red flags. And if you know you have, we always have this instinct, because most of the times when we go through a tragic situation, especially now in the situation where you had seen signs and you ignored, we usually now take longer to heal because of the self-blame. And so never ignore your sixth sense. Never ignore your instincts. If something is wrong, even if you are thinking wrongly of them and it's not true, please follow your instincts. If they love you, they'll still fight for you, despite you turning down that date or you not showing up in that location or proposing something else. Always have self-love in a way that my self-care comes first. I think about me first and you second. Because honestly, if rape happens, I'm the one who will deal with it for the rest of my life. Your life goes on. And of course, the other thing is also to see change of behavior, because you can start off on a nice note and then you start seeing red flags. And usually say never ignore red flags, even in a later situation in relationship. And even in marriage, be assertive. Because the problem of marital rape is also being a doormat, because he's my husband, it's okay, he can do whatever he wants to me. Yeah, but look at what it is costing you in terms of your mental health, in terms of this person, you've become so timid and so given in, even you start losing in other areas of life that are not related to marriage. And so it is important for you to be aware of the changes that are starting to happen into your environment and realize that I am in charge of myself. I'm not in charge of you. I may not know who you are and what are your intentions in my life, but I'm in charge of me. And I will not allow me to get hurt in this situation, especially when you're starting to see red flags and you're starting to see this is a violation of my space. Even if we are married, even if we are dating, you are now going too far. And to be able to stand up and speak up for yourself. And the other thing, always have someone who knows what's happening in your life. It's very important to have a support system even before the situations happen, so that you can have someone to even reason out with you and tell you this is not acceptable, this is not okay, this is too far. Okay. You know, have someone in your life. Have that girlfriend. Actually, we usually say girlfriends will never go out of fashion. Your children will grow up and leave. your husband. Some of us even come into marriages that fail, but your girlfriends, if you have a good support system, they will be with you in all seasons of your life. At least have someone who can be there in your life, who loves you and accepts you unconditionally. Actually, they were saying that you should be going for vacation with your girlfriends once in a while. It's actually more productive because they don't expect anything from you. Yeah, nobody will tap you at night and they're like, let's have sex. I mean, we are just having fun, you know. Nobody is expecting anything from anyone. Oh yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies. I want just to ask you have to give me a yes or no answer. Would you get married again?
Yes.
This is crazy. Okay. I wish you both ladies well. Heal. Help her heal. Ladies, we've come to the end of another installment of Dadas. It's been an amazing show. As always, I sit here and like you, I marvel at the things that women can overcome. So have a great week. See you next Sunday. Baraka.